This podcast contains open conversation about eating disorders, body related issues, and may include triggering language. I'm not a medical professional, just someone who has personally navigated these experiences and wants to create a space for open and compassionate dialogue. If this isn't the right time for you to listen, take care of yourself and come back whenever you're ready. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bite Size Stories. I'm Giorgia, and this podcast was created to explore the complex relationship we have with food, body image, and health through honest, lighthearted, and meaningful conversation. In today's episode, we're going to dive into the wild world of modeling, restrictive dieting, and how chasing perfection can push your body way out of balance. But we are also going to talk about real health, that kind of health that lets you run after your kid, enjoy your food, and make you feel really grounded into your body. Joining me today is a person who has had an amazing life change, from being scouted as a model in Russia to being a mother, a coach, and an advocate for a really different kind of beauty, and the founder of the Return Method. So welcome, Olesia.
Thank you so much for having me, Giorgia.
How do you feel?
I feel great. I'm really excited to be here and share all my crazy stories with you today.
I'm so excited. I think we're going to dive into amazing stories. And before we dive in, how would you introduce yourself? Is it like a mother, a coach, or all of the above?
I'm definitely a mama first. I'm also a coach and I still model. I've been modeling for over 2 decades now, which I cannot believe it, but I guess I'm that old. Yeah, so all of the above and mama comes first for sure.
Of course, of course. Let's go back to the beginning. We should. How did it all start for you? And do you remember how were you first discovered as a model where you were living in Russia?
Yes, I was living in Russia. I was always fascinated by magazines and models and beauty. I never thought I would be able to do anything like that, but I got scouted quite randomly and I had to go to a casting to Moscow. My dad came with me. I was really young, and a couple months since that casting, I got a call. They said Ford Models is offering you a contract. Fly to New York and become a supermodel.
That's what they were planning for you, let's say.
Definitely.
You know, that's a big thing for a 16 years old to hear from someone else, because I think you build like a lot of, responsibilities on you as well, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I couldn't sleep for a week after that. I just
I
was
imagine.
so excited. And I imagined myself on every cover of the magazine in the world, working every fashion show. It was really exciting for me.
And so it kind of started off as a dream, right? But it didn't take long before the pressure to work on your body and to consider your body kicked in, right?
Absolutely. Yes, it was very quick when I was told, and I was 15 years old, um, that I was told that I needed to lose weight and that I had, baby fat, which when you're a teenager, you do have some baby fat. And that was something that, I didn't expect. And I quickly realized that it was the reality of modeling most of the time, unless, you're very skinny to start with. A lot of models do have to lose weight, for example, to start modeling and to be successful at it.
Yeah. So that's what they say, right? That to have success, you need to have a specific kind of body, which has to be lean, it has to be fit, it has to be thin, even if you were already like that. Wow. And do you remember if there were any specific rule you were given from the industry about food and weight? And do you remember specific things you were told to do or, of course, not to do?
Yeah. I think one of the first thing that I was told that I really, it was a shock for me and I kind of took it seriously in a way. They said, if you're feeling hungry, drink water, which overall, a lot of times, and I'm a health coach now, I do agree that sometimes thirst can show up as hunger, but it was more of a way to say, skip your meals.
Just don't eat. Yeah,
Yes,
I
and
know.
that's not okay.
Yeah, no, that's tough, right? To receive rules from someone on like how to behave on your like normal life with your body and like your appearance. So I guess with your routine and with your behavior regarding food, at some point your body must have showed something and some signs of these behaviors, maybe something of some sign that something was off or something was not good, because as you mentioned, skipping your meal is not safe, it's not right, because you should have balanced nutrition. So skipping that, I guess, would bring some signs to your body. How did you feel in that time?
When I started, trying to cut my calories, eat less, think a lot about, I hope I'm not overeating. Like, how do I stay the specific size that the industry wants me to be? I definitely felt like it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't right. And what ended up happening was I had less energy. I wasn't as motivated. I wasn't that energized, I was always cold. And I think, unfortunately, that's pretty common for when people diet. Some people just build a certain size, and some they're, slightly bigger. And I guess I was slightly bigger, and that needed to be fixed. Fixed.
Fixed. So let's say that the first thing that you really saw running off of you was your strength.
Yes, definitely. And I've always been very athletic, and I always, I'm tall. I always make this joke that I eat a lot. I do think I eat a lot. I need all the food, all the strength.
But what I'm wondering right now, after all this suffering with restrictive dieting, counting calories, and cutting your nutrition today, do you think was it worth it?
It's a very interesting question. I think health always comes first. It's truly, if you don't have health, you can't have anything else. I felt like at some point, the amount of calories I was consuming wasn't enough. And I guess that will bring us to the next stage of my career.
Oh my God. Is there a turning point here?
Yes. When my agent and I had a talk, it was right when, in the very beginning, plus size modeling or curvy modeling was starting. It was very new for the industry. And my agent basically said, why don't you try this?
So that started because you talked to your agent and you asked him, I want to eat more. I'm sick of like not eating enough. Did it start like that? And by the way, that's such a sharp turn.
Yes, yes. So the kind of one of the tricky parts of the industry, when I was starting, I was a kid basically, and I was shorter, I was smaller. As I was growing, my hips were growing. I was, becoming a woman, looking like a woman. So I naturally was gaining that weight that I needed to keep. I needed to keep for my health, for my well-being, and I'm naturally slightly curvy. So that was kind of a creative way to approach it. Hey, how can I transform this? How can I creatively continue being in the industry and perhaps even do better, make potentially more money, and be the one of the first people who were I was one of the first plus size models that ever really existed.
What year was that, if I may?
I think it was around 2012, I believe.
Okay.
2013. But the caveat was I needed to gain weight.
It's very interesting. What I'm very curious about is, how did this shift make you feel? From being an underweight model to being an oversized model. How did you feel at the beginning? Because I mean, what I imagine at least is, being happy, maybe at first, because you can start to eat again, whatever you want.
I was very excited at first. All the foods that I've dreamed about were there for me to eat.
Like what? Like, what are the food you dreamt
Pizza,
about?
pasta.
Of course.
And all the sweets. And I felt like nothing can be better. I'll just eat what I want anytime I want. And that will support my career and also remove all those restrictions, which I expected to be, a shift in my mood because, when you're hungry, you're hungry. So I just imagine I'll always be full, happy, and building this incredible career that I thought, were to happen for me if I just gain weight.
Were the restriction over? Were you allowed to eat whatever you wanted anytime? Or were you respecting some other rules?
No, restrictions weren't, it wasn't over. What happened was it kind of shifted, 180 degrees. And the idea was, how do I become a certain size? So it wasn't just me eating what I want and becoming a regular size. It was me eating a lot to become a certain size. And at that point, I started realizing that it wasn't exactly for me. I couldn't work out with the intensity that I was used to working out because I was afraid I'll lose weight. The foods I was eating that at first felt very liberating and delicious and incredible, I realized they weren't, like, I wasn't meant to eat muffins for breakfast, pizza for lunch, and pasta for dinner. My body craved healthy foods, and I've always ate pretty healthy. I've always been interested in nutrition. I wasn't happy.
Of course, I understand. Because, first of all, as you said before, health is the first thing. And I'm not a health obsession person, like you always got to eat healthy food. I'm not like that because I love sweets, I love carbs, I love bread, I love pizza, everything. But if you don't regulate yourself in an healthy way, then your body is gonna reflect it, and not physically, not because you gain weight or you lose weight. Here we're not even talk about weight. I don't like talking about weight, but it reflects it because you're not able maybe to do things that you usually do. For example, when you lose weight, you're not able to, you're not able maybe to work out because you feel cold, you feel less strength. But when you gain weight, maybe there are other things that are going to be hard for you because maybe you don't feel that energy that you have before. But regarding the sizes, you were talking about this. How did you feel about not reaching the size that you thought being the most wanted one? What was the priority? Feeling good or reaching the dream size?
At that point, I started really rethinking the idea of, reaching size 16. And I had the help of a magical fat suit.
What?
I had this woman who makes costumes for Broadway shows make a custom fat suit for me, which was basically Spanx with a lot of padding all over. So I would arrive at the casting, I would go into the changing room, I would grab an outfit that they wanted me to try on. I'll go in, I'll quickly put my fat suit on.
No way. Oh my God. Wait, I feel I still need to process that. Is this something people usually do?
If you're not plus enough, you have to do what you have to do.
How did you feel wearing a fat suit? Like coming from your past, coming from being very skinny, and coming from caring about a lot about your body to having to wear a fat suit and seeing your body in a different shape.
It was strange and it was really hot when I would put it on.
I can imagine. I mean, I can
It was a
imagine.
lot of, kind of foam padding. So it would make me hot, especially in the
Wow.
summer. But, I was dedicated. I was always very dedicated professional. So it was just a part of the job. My new job was to feel the clothes instead of, before, and maybe you've heard that they kind of, there's this running joke in modeling why they want slimmer, skinnier models, because they want the clothes look like it's hanging on a hanger.
Okay.
Like it's just loose.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Where for plus size, it was complete opposite. They wanted the clothes filled and the curves shown. And if I needed to wear a fat suit for that, I did.
You're very strong. You're very strong. And did anyone ever notice that?
I don't know. Maybe they noticed, but they didn't say anything. In the end of the day, it looked quite natural. It was a very good job, thanks to that tailor. So when the clothes was put on top of it,
You
it
wouldn't
looked
see
like I
that.
had a great rear part. And
Like,
it was just-
great.
wow, yeah,
Do you still have it?
I do.
Do you still wear it?
No. But you know what? You're just giving me some ideas.
Exactly. And you know what's very interesting to me? Understanding that also in the plus size modeling world, there are rules, like a lot of rules. And they are as strict as the, like standard model industry. That's a very, very interesting thing to discover today.
Yeah, and that's something quite frankly, I didn't think about before uh, starting with this idea. But, quickly learn about it. I also realized that neither was kind of my journey. I couldn't fit. I wasn't 00 any longer. I was not a teenager. I was a woman. And having to put on weight didn't feel healthy for me.
Are you saying that that was kind of the moment where something clicked on your brain? That something was starting to change inside of you?
Absolutely. Yeah, I really, house always came first to me, but I still kept trying to fit in. And that was the moment when I realized I'm not fitting in. I'm not fitting into straight size, what they call regular skinny models. They call it straight size. And I'm not fitting into plus size either. And that was kind of that big aha moment. What do I do now? What path will my career take? How I want to feel, how I want to look, what legacy I want to build, and how, my life will unfold really.
But what happened exactly when you at some point started thinking that something was changing and you had to start listening to your body?
It was building up certainly through the years, but becoming pregnant with my daughter and really embracing pregnancy and all the pregnancy changes, I've never felt more comfortable in my body in my entire life.
Where you were pregnant?
Yes. And just really processing what my body is capable of and realizing there will never be another time where I will do something that doesn't feel right, whether it's eating less or eating more, exercises too much or exercising too little. So really listening to myself, embracing myself, and always putting health first and modeling that to my daughter.
Totally. What I'm understanding for you is that your health wasn't in the first place, and so I'm happy to hear and to know that today health for you it's in the first place, your general health, because you also can transmit that health to people around you, because people can feel your energy and your way of living. And so I know that today you are also a coach, a wellness coach. Was that the moment where the return method came in?
Yes, return method is all about resilience, mind, body, 360 approach to how we can be the most resilient, the most incredible. Almost, I make this joke that I want everyone to feel like they're superhuman and function as they're superhuman in the most healthy way of it. So, how do I envision being superhuman? I envision waking up, feeling good, doing things that fill your cup, make you happy, whether it's running a marathon or running after your cat or your child, and doing it for as long as possible and making sure your lifespan equals your health span. I personally aim to be a very active grandmother one day, maybe grandmother. And that's definitely all that transformation, all that struggle really shifted my way of thinking of how we can really better ourselves, make ourselves the healthiest, the most happiest, the most fulfilled, using the tools that are available to us. And it's, nutrition, it's sport, community, building habits. Having healthy habits is crucial, and that's a big part of my coaching of the return method, especially when you're going through major life changes. And, I went through major life changes, major body changes as well. And that's something I want to share with others to really inspire others that you can do it. And people definitely go through a lot of things in their lives, but you can thrive even through adversity and learn and become your most amazing, radiant, healthiest self.
About that, I think building an habit is the hardest thing to do, especially when it's about your body, when it's about your nutrition. Oh my God, when it's about your nutrition, building an habit, it's so hard. I think that's a great point of the return method, and that's a great point that you are teaching to people, because that's gonna actually bring you to the best version of yourself. And it's not a thin version, because I think most of the people think, okay, the best version of myself, it's myself, but thinner, but leaner, but stronger, but all of that. I don't think it's that. I think like the best version of yourself is just a version where you feel better, where you feel good, where you feel like you're enjoying your life. You're not doing roller coasters with your humor, with your nutrition, with your health. That's the best version of ourselves. And I'm glad someone is teaching it in a pure, healthy way and a balanced way. You talked about major life changes. And I think that's very important, because most of the time people tend to change their habits when they have major life changes. You had a major life change, which was your pregnancy and having your baby. So I'm very curious to know, how did you handle that? How did you handle this balance with your kid, and how do you do it right now?
I'm very happy that I had those experiences to really learn what mattered the most. And it's health. I never stop saying this. Health always comes first, because if you don't have health, there's nothing else that matters. And I'm really teaching it to my daughter. Um, I'm teaching her to love her body. I'm teaching her to, in a very age appropriate way, of course, to identify foods that make her stronger, that make her vision better, that make her hair grow. And I also think, and I'm a girl mom, I can only talk to the perspective of being a girl mom. Something recently really occurred to me, that was also a big aha moment. I realized that in our society, we don't teach girls a value of being strong. I've heard so much of, be kind, be pretty, be smart. And for boys, it's always, be strong, be brave. But we need strength too.
I thought, you don't know how much I agree on that. I wish someone taught me how to be strong. Like, you don't need someone else to be strong for you. Like, you can be the strong person in the room, mentally strong, physically strong. And also, what I really want to mark here and highlight is how important it is to model your kids regarding confidence, and every kid, like male, females. In that case, you have a girl. And I think for baby girls, it's actually harder in some way. I've lived that in my own skin. So that's why I feel like I can bring up this example. In your case, you have a little girl, teaching her confidence and teaching her that her body is okay. It's not a matter. It's not an issue. And her appearance is not. It's crucial. So Because you are a parent, what advices would you give to a parent?
I think really giving those values of teaching nutrition. I think the best way would be, just to give an example, is when we're teaching our kids, let's say, to eat carrots. Carrots are really good for our vision. Carrots will make you see better. And that's a very age appropriate, easy way to say, and it's true. And it creates those connections for children. I wish there was a nutrition class for, in kindergarten, or value of nutrition, value of health, and making sure that we as parents also model it, because talking is one thing, it's great, but really modeling it is another thing.
That's true.
If I'm, there making sure to get X amount of, exercise, my daughter is watching. I know she's always watching. And since she was a tiny baby, I've brought her to yoga classes. I've brought her to Mommy and Me classes. I have really funny videos of her blowing bubbles and me doing yoga in the park. They absorb so much. So really modeling that is important.
As you said, like, it's really important, like, not to restrict, not to deny, and most of all, to teach what health means to your kid in a childish way, in an easy way, so that they can interiorize this kind of stuff. So thank you. I think your advices for parents will be incredibly helpful. And just remember, don't put pressure on your child. They will grow up healthy if you don't put pressure, if you don't restrict them, if you don't neglect them with things that they cannot do. Because at the end, they will want to do them even more. It works like that. And so, Olesia, thank you so much for being with us today. That really means a lot. And your story, it's such a reminder that health isn't a size, isn't a rule book, but it's just a state of mind, a state of how you feel and what you want to feel. Before we close, do you have an advice for someone who's struggling with food, self-image, and what would you want them to know?
I want them to know that they're precious. We're all precious. We're all unique. If you're wondering how precious you are, just Google what are the odds of being born?
What?
What are the
Okay.
odds of being born?
Okay.
How incredible that we are born and how rare to be born. Google it and you will see what I'm talking about. And really investing in your health, in your well-being, because that's what matters. That's the body that we're in for the rest of our lives. And taking care of it truly comes first.
So, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, share it with a friend, and follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and all the podcast platforms. If you want to find out more about Olesia, you can find it on our Instagram on their personal page, and you will soon find the return method online. So stay tuned, reach out, and reach out also to us. If you want to share your story, if you want to tell us what's going on, if you want to leave some comments about the episodes, please do that. And see you next time.